Shalom. I'm going to give all praises to Yahweh, Bahasham, Yahweh Shai, Bahasham, Ha, Racha, Kwadash, Ma'amah. Double honors to the elder apostles of GMS and their elders. Double honors to my elder, Aharawan Banya Sharala of the Lions Den Camp here in Jacksonville, Florida. Salutations to the sincere Akim, pushing his truth and sincerity around the four corners of this earth. I'm Nakar Kharab Banya Sharala, coming out of the Lions Den Camp of Yasharala here in Jacksonville, Florida. Now today, I'll be coming out of a lesson. The title of this lesson is the rest were blinded, because as you know, only the elect of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai will obtain this truth. Only the ones that the Heavenly Father has chosen to wake up will obtain this truth, will obtain the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of Yahweh Bahasham Yahweh Shai. And the rest will be left asleep, i.e. the world. But without further ado, I'm gonna play this little small excerpt and then I'm gonna get some scriptures.
What's your problem? I said, what's your problem?
How are you today, sir? Okay, how's it going? Fine, thank you. Thank you, sir.
All right, so there you have it. This movie was called They Live. That was a trailer with Roddy Piper. Edomite used to wrestle back in the day. Um, right now, I use that example as I would say that excerpt, Salakia, as an example of you know, the hopeful elect of Yasharala, the men of the Lord that the Heavenly Father has set aside from the rest of the world. They see what's going on. And this also can represent two-thirds of our people as well, because, you know, even though Roddy Piper, he had he had those glasses on, and when I guess the whatever you call it, the monster or demon or whatever it was that walked up to Jake, he had no idea. Jake was asleep. Jake just sold him a paper. Like, okay, yeah, you have a good day. But, Roddy Piper in that movie, he represented the, he represented the elect, even though, that means he was able to see the truth. He was able to know what's going on. And the rest of the world were blinded. They did not know. They could not see the truth. And that's the same thing when it comes down to this gospel, when it comes down to this truth of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. The elect can see what the Lord really means, what he is saying in his word, but anyone outside of the elect, they cannot get this. They cannot understand. That's why I have a picture of a book with no words in it. To further push the point of the masses being blinded, and especially 2/3 of Israel. So without further ado, let's get right into it. This is Romans chapter 11, verse 7. It says, "What then? Israel hath not obtained that which he seeketh for, but the election have obtained it, and the rest were blinded." So what then? Because Jake stay running around looking for righteousness and truth. Even though Jake is wicked, he still has that desire and that drive to want to worship. They have that zeal according to Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, but not according to righteousness and not according to the knowledge and the wisdom and the truth of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. But it says, "What then? Israel had not obtained." So for 2/3 of our people, they have not obtained this truth. They cannot see the truth. Like that Jake in the movie, he couldn't see what was really in front of him. He thought it was another regular man, Edomite man that he was looking at. But Roddy Piper represented the elect in that movie, and Roddy Piper had on the shades or had the eyes to see, and he was able to see the truth. And it's the same thing when it comes down to the elect of Israel. We have the eyes to see and the ears to hear what the Lord is saying. We have obtained, but the rest of our people were blinded. They cannot see the truth. Even when they try to call themselves opening up the book and breaking down the scriptures of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, they can't see the truth. That's why it says, "What then? Israel have not obtained." For 2/3 of our people, they have not obtained this truth. They have not obtained the wisdom, the knowledge, the understanding of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. They have not obtained the eyes to see and the ears to hear. And this is also a lesson that was sparked, from the job earlier today. Where the, brother, or the Bishop brother Kanaka this camp, he was talking. I walked in probably on the latter end of the conversation, so I didn't really catch how it began. But nonetheless, what was being explained to a coworker of ours, he really wasn't catching it. He really didn't get the understanding of what was being spoke about according to these scriptures. So he's part of the world that's blinded and that does not see the truth. Only the elect have obtained. The rest were blinded. Nobody else can see this truth. That's why the Lord sends his men, the elect, out to preach and to teach so that they can see the truth. But a vast majority will not hearken, especially they of the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans, and the speckled bird scattered around the four corners of the earth amongst these other nations that are also Israelites as well. They have not obtained it. But the election out of that have obtained it, and the rest were blinded. Verse 8, "According as it is written, Yahweh hath given them the spirit of slumber, eyes that they should not see, and ears that they should not hear, unto this day." So the Lord truthfully has given, as it is written, Yahweh hath given 2/3 of our people and a vast majority of the world the spirit of slumber. The eyes that they should not see the truth and ears that they should not hear the truth unto this day. And this really applies to 2/3 of our people. But you can also group the masses in with that because they don't see what's going on. They don't know what's going on. And when it come down to Jake and him trying to break down these scriptures, what happens? It becomes a snare. It becomes a stumbling block. And it messes him up. Verse 9. It says, "And David said, Let their table be made a snare and a trap and a stumbling block and a recompense unto them. So this table, the word of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua says, let their table. So this word, this book, the scriptures that were meant for the good of the whole of Yasharallah, it is a snare and a trap and a stumbling block for 2/3 of our people. Hell, it's a snare and a trap and a stumbling block for these other heathen nations when they call themselves trying to break down these scriptures too, because the truth of the matter is this book is not for them. It is for Israelites, by Israelites only. So this table, i.e. the words of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, is a snare, it's a trap, and it's a stumbling block. It's a recompense. It's a payback for their wickedness. So, though we speak this truth, the rest were blinded. Nobody else could really obtain this unless Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua has already elected or so chosen that person and or people to obtain this word and to get the understanding. Verse 10, this is, let their eyes be darkened that they may not see, and bow down their back, Salakia, always. So let their eyes be darkened so that they can't see this truth. Just like Roddy Piper in that movie. He was walking around, he had the shades on, and he was seeing and looking. He would take the shades off, and he was like, what? And he put them back on, and he would see the truth. So basically, he left them on so he could really see. And he started to see what it really was around him. Everybody else that was walking around, that was near him, they saw none of that. They were blinded. Their eyes were darkened. And that's the same thing when it comes down to this truth for 2/3 of our people and these Edomite apologists that get Jake to be on board with them. Their eyes are darkened so that they cannot see. And this is what? And bow down their back. Always, meaning they're going to always bow down to the slaughter. They're always going to bow down to darkness. They're just going to be walking around, not really knowing what's going on. They're always going to subscribe to lies and false doctrine. But let's continue. Let's go to 2 Corinthians chapter 4, verse 3. It says, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost. So if this truth is hidden, it is hidden to them that are lost spiritually, that don't know what's going on. It says, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Mashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine unto them. So the God of this world, right now, who is running things? The God of this world, the God of we'll say the powers that be, the ones that really run Babylon, Esau. He has blinded the minds of them that don't believe this truth. With what? How did he blind them? Let's go to 2 Thessalonians. How did he blind them? He blinded them with what? Lies, different false philosophies, beliefs, and doctrines. This is 2 Corinthians chapter 2, verse 9. It says, even him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders, and with all deceivableness of unrighteousness in them that perish, because they receive not the love of the truth, that they might be saved. And for this cause Yahweh shall send them strong delusion, that they should believe a lie. So who's the him whose coming is after the working of Satan with all power and signs and lying wonders? Esau, with all his technology, his witchcrafts, and things like that, all kind of lying wonders. This is what, with all deceivableness of what unrighteousness in them that perish, because they believe not the love of the truth. And for 2/3 of our people, they're going to be the ones that perish because they believe not the love of the truth of Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua, so that they might be saved. And for that very cause, the Most High is what? He's going to send them, and has sent them strong delusions we'll say a strong delusion and or strong delusions that they should what believe a lie, that they should believe lies. So again, back to 2 Corinthians chapter 4 verse 3. But if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, and for 2/3 of our people they are lost, and these other heathen nations they are lost too as well, because this book ain't even for them. Hence this picture with the book with no words in it, because they can't see, because they don't have eyes to see and ears to hear what's in the book. Only the elect have obtained, the rest were blinded. But again, but if our gospel be hid, it is hid to them that are lost, in whom the God of this world hath blinded the minds of them which believe not, lest the light of the glorious gospel of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, should shine upon them. So the God of this world, Esau, has blinded the minds of them that don't believe this truth, lest at any time the truth, the light, the glorious gospel, the good news of Hamashiach, who is the image of Yahweh, the Heavenly Father, should shine upon them, and they wake up and get it. But they're not. The masses, when you have the whole of Israel, and out of the whole of Israel you have the remnant. Within the remnant, that is the 144,000, and the 1/3 men, women, and children that believe. That makes up the whole remnant. That grape of the cluster that the Lord kept to himself. The multitude is going to perish, i.e. the 2/3, because they didn't believe the love of the truth. So the Lord has allowed the God of this world, Esau, to blind their minds, that they're going to believe lies and put delusions on them. And when it comes down to them trying to seek the word and find out the words of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, it's going to become a snare unto them. It's going to become a trap. It's going to become a stumbling block, because they can't get past certain things, because they don't have eyes to see, ears to hear, and a heart to understand the words of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua, i.e. a mind. La'ab. But let's continue. Let's go to Psalm 69. Again, Psalm 69, 22. It says, let their table become a snare before them, and that which should have been for their welfare, let it become a trap. Again, there you go. This is concerning to 2/3 of our people, and those who don't understand the truth, and who haven't been given the heart, i.e. the mind, the ears, and the eyes to hear, the ears to hear and the eyes to see. This truth, this word is a bit wet. It becomes a snare to them. And for 2/3, this was something that was meant for their good, for their benefit, for their welfare. But now it's become a trap, because why? They chose not to believe in the words of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua. They chose to be disobedient and to live in transgression, and be hard-headed to Yahweh by Shem Yahushua and what he said to do, especially when it comes down to the so-called Negroes, Latinos, and Native Americans. So this truth is a trap, and they can't see the truth. They can't see the words of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua and what he truly means. Verse 23, it says, again, let their eyes be darkened, that they should not see. Make their loins continually to shake. So let their eyes be darkened, that they should not see this truth. So it has been set up against them to begin with, so that they can't see this truth, so they can't get it. It says, and make their loins continually to shake, meaning keep them in the situation, in down situations, bad situations. So the rest were blinded. Only the elect of Yahweh by Shem Yahushua can see the words of this book, can hear the words of this book, can understand the words of this book with their eye, their heart, i.e. their mind, their la'ab. Only the elect, the rest were blinded. Sirach 19 and 11. It says, a fool travaileth with a word as a woman in labor of a child. So a fool is going to travail with a word, and they're going to wrestle with it. They're going to have a hard time trying to understand it, trying to grasp it. It's difficult. It's painful. The same way a woman that is in labor with a child, when a woman is in labor with a child, it's painful for her. It's not comfortable. It doesn't feel good. And that's the same thing when it comes down to this word, coming down to this truth. When it comes down to the wisdom of Yahweh Shem Yahushua. When it hits the ears of a fool, they start wrestling with it. It's painful for them. They can't. It aggravates them. Why? Because most times people that are fools, when it comes out of this truth, they were blinded of Yahweh Shem Yahushua to begin with. Let's go back to Proverbs. My last point. Well, not back to Proverbs, but to Proverbs. My last point. Proverbs 21 and 30. Because when you speak of this truth to the ones that were blinded, they seem to think that it's some kind of other counsel or other magical belief or something that can stand against what is being spoken when it comes down to this truth. And according to the words of Yahweh Shem Yahushua, nothing can stand against this truth. You can do nothing against this truth, but you can do everything for it. But this is Proverbs 21 and 30. There is no wisdom, nor understanding, nor counsel against the Lord Yahweh. So no matter how you may try to explain something or I'm gonna make up a word, logicify something, or no matter how you try to twist it or put it in, if there is no wisdom and or understanding nor counsel that is going to stand against Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua and His word, there's nothing on this earth that will happen. So those that are blinded, they always try to come up with some kind of what if leverage, whatever. But according to Proverbs 21 and 30, there is no wisdom, there is no counsel, there is no understanding, there is nothing that will stand against Yahweh B'Hashem Yahushua. So the election have obtained it and the rest were blinded. They cannot see this truth. They don't have the eyes to see it. They cannot hear this truth. They don't have the ears to hear it. You know what I'm saying? They cannot understand this truth because the Lord didn't give them a heart to understand it. The Lord darkened them and gave them the spirit of slumber so that they should not understand or could not or cannot understand. So with that, Shalom.